Kaguya Ōtsutsuki is the one who started it all. As a member of the Ōtsutsuki clan, she and a fellow Ōtsutsuki were traveling across space for the purpose of stealing energy from planets, and that's how she ended up on Earth. Kaguya's job was to grow a god tree on Earth, but she broke the rules, betrayed her partner, and ate the god tree's chakra fruit herself. She did this because she grew to love Earth and even wanted to make it a peaceful place without wars. However, she soon started seeing humans as things she owned rather than people. She became obsessed with controlling everyone on Earth, and of course, she had the power to do it. Her Byakugan allowed her to see through almost anything and detect chakra networks with perfect clarity. Her Rinne Sharingan, the third eye on her forehead, could trap anyone in an endless dream world called Infinite Tsukuyomi. She could jump between dimensions whenever she wanted. In fact, she could even create and control entire realms filled with different environments. She could manipulate all 5 nature transformations and even combine them. Her mastery over truth-seeking balls made her practically untouchable. In the end, she started turning humans into white Zetsu soldiers. She did this to prepare for a war against her own clan in case they ever decided to come after her. Her sons, Hagoromo and Hamura, watched as their mother transformed from a loving parent into a complete tyrant. At that point, they had no choice but to stop her, and so after a long battle with her sons, Kaguya was finally sealed. However, Black Zetsu, the incarnation of her will, then spent the next 1,000 years plotting for Kaguya to finally return. But Naruto and Sasuke sealed her again along with Black Zetsu. Hagoromo Ōtsutsuki is the man who quite literally created the ninja world as we know it. He is known as the legendary sage of the 6 paths. After defeating his mother Kaguya Ōtsutsuki with the help of his brother Hamura, Hagoromo became the first ever Jinchuriki by sealing the 10 tails inside himself. His powers basically set the standard for everything that came after. He could pretty much do anything he wanted thanks to the Rinnegan and the 6 paths sage mode. His most important achievement after defeating Kaguya was splitting the 10 tails into 9 separate tailed beasts. He gave each one its own name and personality, and hoped that they'd become friends with humans instead of just being seen as weapons. As the sage of the 6 paths, Hagoromo spent his life teaching people how to use chakra properly. He didn't want them using it for war, so he taught them to use it to understand each other better. He believed chakra could connect people's hearts and minds, and that's why he created Ninshu to unify people and bring peace. Now, Hagoromo also had 2 sons, Indra and Asura. Indra, the elder son, was a prodigy. He inherited Hagoromo's powerful chakra and the Sharingan, which made him the progenitor of the Uchiha clan. Indra is also credited as the creator of ninjutsu because he was the first one to adapt Hagoromo's teachings about ninshu into a tool for combat. You see, Indra's philosophy revolved around power and individuality. He believed that peace could only be achieved through strength and control. Asura, the younger son, was the opposite of his brother. He inherited Hagoromo's physical strength and life force, which made him the progenitor of the Senju and Uzumaki clans. Unlike Indra, Asura was not naturally talented. He had to work hard to grow stronger, and he also had to rely on others for help and support. Naturally, he came to the conclusion that true peace is all about unity and cooperation among the people. Of course, since Asura's philosophy was similar to Hagoromo's personal beliefs, he ended up choosing Asura as his successor. Unfortunately, Black Zetsu then took advantage of Indra's feelings of rejection and bitterness. This caused Indra to rebel against his brother and father, which then led to an endless cycle of hatred that continued for nearly 1,000 years. This cycle continued across generations until Indra and Asura were reincarnated as Sasuke and Naruto. Then, during the 4th Great Ninja War, Hagoromo appeared before Sasuke and Naruto. He admitted his mistake of favoring one son over the other in the past and chose to correct that mistake by equally sharing his power between Naruto and Sasuke. Sasuke was given the Rinnegan, while Naruto received the 6 paths sage mode. The two of them then went on to finally create true peace in the Naruto world. Ultimately, it is impossible to overestimate just how much of an impact Hagoromo has had over the ninja world. Hamura Ōtsutsuki is the younger twin brother of the Sage of the Six Paths. He may not be as famous as Hagoromo, but he fought alongside his brother against Kaguya in what can be considered the most important battle in history. After sealing away Kaguya, Hamura made the decision to travel to the moon with a group of followers to guard the empty shell of the Ten Tails. This was to watch over his mother's shell and to make sure Kaguya could never return to threaten the world ever again. If we're talking about his powers, then he was the one who inherited Kaguya's Byakugan. Over time, thanks to the Otsutsuki blood in his veins, his Byakugan evolved into the Tenseigan. This eye gave him the ability to control gravity itself, but he knew it was too dangerous, so he decided to seal it away. In addition to the Tenseigan, Hamura also had the Six Path Sage mode and the Truth-Seeking Orbs. Now, while Hamura moved to the moon with some of his followers, his bloodline on Earth continued and eventually became the Hyuga clan. This means that he is the progenitor of the Hyuga clan. As for his bloodline on the moon, they came to be known as the Lunar Ōtsutsuki family. His descendants on the moon followed his teachings and dedicated their lives to watching over Earth. But over 1,000 years later, Toneri, the last of Hamura's descendants on the moon, misinterpreted his teachings and attempted to destroy Earth by weaponizing the moon with the power of the Tenseigan. Toneri believed humans needed to be punished for using chakra as a weapon. Fortunately, Hinata Hyuga, the descendant of Hamura's main family on Earth, was able to make Toneri understand that he was wrong about Hamura's decree. Toneri accepts his mistake and promises Hinata that the moon will never threaten the Earth again. Just as Hagoromo's legacy lives on through Naruto, Sasuke, and the entire ninja world, Hamura's legacy continues through Hinata Hyuga and Toneri of the Lunar Ōtsutsuki family. Kinshiki Ōtsutsuki was one of the two Ōtsutsuki who invaded Earth after realizing that something had gone wrong with Kaguya's mission. The other Ōtsutsuki was Momoshiki, and Kinshiki was basically Momoshiki's guardian, his adoptive father, and also his subordinate. In fact, the relationship between Kinshiki and Momoshiki revealed an important Ōtsutsuki tradition. As a guardian, Kinshiki's ultimate purpose was to sacrifice himself to make Momoshiki stronger, which is why the moment things got rough in their battle against Naruto and the others, he allowed Momoshiki to turn him into chakra pills and absorb his power. Now, unlike other Ōtsutsuki, Kinshiki relied on sheer physical strength and close quarters combat. He was able to battle Sasuke to a stalemate multiple times. Even when he was on the verge of death, he was able to cut down a god tree with a single swing of his halberd. When it comes to other abilities, Kinshiki could absorb ninjutsu from his opponents to then transform their chakra into glowing red weapons like axes and spears. His Byakugan, combined with his mastery of chakra weapons, made him nearly impossible to catch off guard in battle. Momoshiki Ōtsutsuki is the one who placed his karma onto Boruto Uzumaki. He was the main antagonist of the Boruto movie and one of the main antagonists of the Boruto series as a whole. Like the rest of his clan, Momoshiki's goal was to harvest the life energy of planets by cultivating a chakra fruit from the god tree. He arrived on Earth with Kinshiki to check up on Kaguya's planet and also to consume the planet's chakra to further elevate his own power. To do that, he and Kinshiki eventually took Naruto, the 7th Hokage, to another dimension in order to cultivate a new god tree out of his Nine Tails chakra. But Sasuke, Boruto, and the other 4 Kage arrived in time to stop them. Sasuke speculated that Momoshiki and, to a lesser extent, Kinshiki were greater threats than Kaguya. He based this on the fact that Kaguya had been preparing the White Zetsu army specifically to defend against future Ōtsutsuki threats, which turned out to be these two. To add on to this, Momoshiki himself claimed that he could have defeated Kaguya on his own. When it comes to Momoshiki's abilities, he has Byakugan in his eyes and he wielded the Rinnegan in both of his palms, which allows him to absorb any ninjutsu directed at him and then amplify it and release it it with even greater force. This means that conventional attacks are useless against him. Of course, he gets even stronger after absorbing Kinshiki and becomes able to overpower Naruto and Sasuke even though they are using their Six Paths powers. Still, despite his great strength, Momoshiki was ultimately defeated when Boruto delivered the killing blow using a Rasengan that had been enhanced by Naruto's chakra. However, before he died, Momoshiki implanted his karma onto Boruto and turned him into his vessel. At the time, Momoshiki told Boruto that his blue eyes would one day take everything from him. This prophecy has started coming true. In fact, Boruto losing his people is what led to this time skip. Naturally, this mark also granted Boruto access to Momoshiki's Otsutsuki abilities, but as the karma continued to evolve, it also gave Momoshiki the ability to manifest and take control of Boruto's body for short periods of time, like the time he took over and destroyed Sasuke's Rinnegan, or when he took over and fought Kawaki in order to subdue and then use him as a sacrifice. But ultimately, Boruto took over at the right time and Kawaki landed the killing blow. This meant the end for both Boruto and Momoshiki, but Momoshiki decided to use the karma to resurrect Boruto and keep his soul intact, because it was no longer possible for himself to resurrect through Boruto. This in turn transformed Boruto into a perfect Otsutsuki. Kawaki now wants to kill Boruto, while Kode wants to use him as a sacrifice for the 10 Tails. Urashiki Ōtsutsuki is an anime original member of the Ōtsutsuki Clan introduced in Boruto. He is a low-ranking member of the Ōtsutsuki Clan who doesn't play as big a role as Momoshiki or Isshiki, but Sasuke still assumes him to be a greater threat than Kaguya. He appears to be playful and silly, but of course, he is still just as manipulative and ruthless as the rest of the clan. What makes Urashiki unusually dangerous is his unique set of abilities. While he possesses the Byakugan, he also wields a pair of Rinnegan that grant him the power to manipulate time. This ability makes him unpredictable and extremely difficult to fight. In addition to this, Urashiki uses a fishing rod-like weapon to extract chakra from his enemies. He can use this stolen chakra to enhance his own power or create overpowered attacks. Urashiki defeats and humiliates Toneri on the moon but spares his life, as Toneri is still considered somewhat of an Otsutsuki, and Urashiki lacks the authority to kill a fellow clan member. He targets Gaara's chakra, takes Mitsuki's Senjutsu chakra, and after learning of Momoshiki's death, he begins to take Boruto seriously as a potential threat to the Ōtsutsuki clan in the future. Urashiki then shifts his focus to the tailed beasts, but is stopped by Sasuke before he can capture the One Tail. During this, Boruto destroys Urashiki's horn with his Rasengan. He retreats, but later returns and triggers the time slip arc. In this arc, he goes back in time to when Naruto was a kid. Sasuke and Boruto follow after him to catch him and also to prevent any changes to the timeline. Ultimately, Urashiki is defeated through the combined efforts of Jiraiya, Sasuke, young Naruto, and Boruto. Urashiki is completely destroyed when Boruto and Naruto land their father and son Rasengan onto him. Isshiki Ōtsutsuki was the one who came to Earth with Kaguya Ōtsutsuki to harvest the planet's chakra. Of course, things didn't go as planned and Kaguya betrayed him. But what happened to him after that? Well, he was on the verge of death, and so in order to survive, he took over the body of a monk named Jigen. This body wasn't ideal for an Otsutsuki like him, but it allowed him to stay alive while he recovered his strength. Isshiki also began searching for a new host, and the search didn't end until he found Kawaki and realized that Kawaki is the vessel he has been looking for. Isshiki adopted Kawaki after purchasing him from his biological father in order to groom him to be a perfect vessel. He then implanted a karma seal into Kawaki, which turned him into a backup body for Ishiki's reincarnation. If we're talking about his power, then let's start with the fact that he was of a higher rank than Kaguya Ōtsutsuki and naturally stronger than her. He was able to handle both Sasuke and Naruto at full power despite the fact that he couldn't use his true power in Jigen's body. You see, Ishiki's abilities made him nearly impossible to fight. His unique dojutsu, the Kokugan, granted him access to the Shinjutsu ability Sukunahikona, which allowed him to shrink himself and objects to microscopic sizes instantly. Kokugan also gave him access to a pocket dimension. He used this to store weapons and tools, which he could summon out of nowhere during combat. To make it worse, Isshiki had been living on Earth for over 1,000 years. He had in-depth knowledge of ninjas and had unparalleled understanding of ninjutsu. In the end, Isshiki was defeated by Naruto's Baryon mode, with Kawaki landing the final blow before Isshiki fully disintegrated. However, his will continues to live on through his loyal subordinate, Kode. Shibai Ōtsutsuki is the most broken character ever introduced in both Naruto and Boruto. We're talking about a being so powerful that he discarded his physical body because he had no need for it. You see, Shibai Ōtsutsuki is quite literally the god of the Ōtsutsuki clan. As Amado explained, Shibai achieved godhood by consuming countless chakra fruits from numerous planets over several millennia. This is how he was able to reach a level that no other Ōtsutsuki had ever reached. Just like that, he set the precedent for what became the ultimate goal of members of the Ōtsutsuki clan: to evolve beyond mortality by endlessly devouring the life energy of worlds. We don't know much about his abilities, but it is said that he mastered Shinjutsu and had techniques that allowed him to manipulate reality itself. He could also see through time and produce black bands to instantly travel long distances. Seriously, he is so strong that the DNA from his physical body, which he had left behind, was enough to help Amado create Shinjutsu abilities for characters like Eida and Daemon. Eida was given Omniscience, a Shinjutsu ability that lets her know everything happening in the present and past. She can see events anywhere in the world and even things that have already happened. However, she cannot see the future, and she cannot turn this ability off. Daemon's ability is to reflect attacks. It allows him to send any attack or killing intent back to the person who tried to harm him. This works automatically, even if Daemon is unaware of the attack. In addition to these two, Kashin Koji, a clone of Jiraiya created by Amado, was also given Shibai cells. These cells allowed him to awaken Shinjutsu after a near-death experience in his fight against Isshiki. He awakened 10 directions, an ability that allows him to see multiple possible futures. It's basically a Walmart version of Yhwach's Almighty. But despite how overpowered their abilities are, it's also true that what they can do is actually just a mere imitation of what Shibai Ōtsutsuki can do.